Hey everybody, Jamie Pate here. Welcome to this video. Today I want to jumpstart December with a look at last year's December album and a look into the direction that this year's album is going to go into. So let's get started. Okay, I have here a 6x8 album from ScrapbookCom, and this is a temporary home for last year's album, as I have on order a black velvet to store this in. I'm starting this year's album in the 6x8 black velvet that I already have here in the studio, but I wanted to at least be able to show you this intact. I shared quite a few videos, tutorials, in the putting together of this album last year. So you can find that. I will link that playlist here in the description so you can look at the different parts. Not everything was tutorialed out, but quite a bit of it was, as was this intro shaker page that was super fun to put together. So you will find that in that playlist. And then we open up here to this page, and I shared my why. I created this little vellum pocket, just a DIY pocket. For the most part, I utilized 49 Market's Christmas Spectacular. Had a very bright green vibe, as you can see, which I tend to shy away from the brights, but you know, so often I get challenged to bring that into the mix anyway, and I did, and I made it work, and I really, really loved making this album, and I got it all done, for the most part, in the month of December. One of the things that I will always have at the beginning of my December Stories album will be as good a family photo as I can include. And I had all my family local who lived here. Some of my family at the time did not live here, and so I just added one of their photos in here. It worked. But it was just a great way to kind of start off this whole Dear December, which was basically my prompt to my family story. So you can almost always, you'll find my intention. I'm going to show you where I'm going to start that in this year's album, and you're going to always find the most recent best family photo that we can gather. The next thing that I'm realizing is becoming the next story almost always in my books is our tree hunt. Our tree hunt is a hoot. We'll see how this year's goes. I'm recording this before we have taken off to do that, and it's supposed to be pretty chilly in the high country, so we'll see how that goes. But I really, really love this story, and it's been a part of our Christmas tradition for a couple of years now, and so it definitely has place. And as you will see as I go forward in this walkthrough, there is for sure a lot of journaling. Sometimes there's just photos. Sometimes I forget the journaling, which I realize here. I don't even know what the story is supposed to be. It's just a photo of probably my most favorite mug, because the kids are commenting on, "You've had this mug, Mom, how long?" And I've had it for decades, and it only comes out at Christmas time. So that's a fun tradition. I do think I share how to put this right now page together, and this is a really fun exercise, which pretty often I add to my albums as well as a prompt of what is happening right now in life. Something that I started doing the last couple of years is, I believe it's St. Stephen's Day, and I just take advantage of, well, number one, making tags, because I love making tags. Number two, making a pocket, because I love making pockets. I love having the interactive parts of this book to come to life, and it did super simply here with this vellum page. And I also love to have prayers as part of my book. And so that's what this is. These were some current prayers at the time. And so I happen to do 4 of them. I love this mix match of tags. That's part of this. I love all this up here. It makes me happy. This is a bit of this is Heidi Swapp's letter. Well, it's probably one of the Stamp Society, August 2023 to be exact. And I just was having a lot of fun with it rather. And I had put the 4 weeks of Advent theme on here. This was a fun art journal piece. And then I'm not going to open this up, but this opens up, and I believe I share this in a tutorial. Vellum piece here, just being out on downtown during the holidays. Picture of my front porch. I also did this shaker tag tutorial and how I did this journal tag there as well. Real simple page that just kind of pulls out, and the journaling is on the back. I was thinking too, as I was kind of going through this again, that, I'm really not going to recreate the wheel this year in my 23 album. To be honest, in my 2024 album, to be honest, I'm really delayed in knowing what I was going to do. I was kind of almost just going to scrap the whole idea, but my heart compels me not to do that. My mind compels me to remember how important creativity is, and the slowing down and the making this time of year. The challenge that it is to create space, to create and make these pages happen are all super important. So I'm not going to bail on it. That's the moral of the story. I'm probably going to actually use this quite a bit as a prompt for this year's book, but I am using Evergreen Season from 49 Market, along with, I totally forgot I had picked up this Reminisce from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I forgot I had picked up this book, but I think these papers are going to find their way in this book as well as some things I've already made around here. I think I will show this again and in the other part of this video, but there's already some things that I've made that more than likely are going to make their way, I've said make a lot of times. I was looking for that too, their way into this book. Anyway, let's continue on with this. This was my son's winter formal, and I believe, there's details in there about that. So that was fun. I love these little half pages like this. I love these clusters, more journaling. I always do this is something else you're always going to find in my album as well, because my sister has a December birthday. So I love doing a full on something for her and to celebrate her. And I did just that. Just had a lot of fun with that. Just your classic kind of scrapbook page, right? And then this is another thing you're almost always going to find in my albums. Whoops, and that's coming off. I had this fixed in such a way. This is kind of a look at my people right now. And so what I did is I made these 6 4x2 papers, and then I added each of our photos inside, and then part of the page includes journaling about that individual in that picture. So that, I think, is some classic to me documenting that is really important. I almost always do one of these 12 pocket pages. It's just a sampler of just highlighting the embellishments that I have. It's just always a fun page. There's almost always snow in our December, so that's what these pages were about. Oops. You know what? I got to share this little story with you. Here is the power of writing things down. Here's the power of documenting. So I look at this picture of my middle daughter. She's in the kitchen, and she is actually preparing a party for some students that she works with and mentors. And what's interesting about this picture to me is to see her in the kitchen. And now, 12 months later, she's in culinary school. That wasn't even part of the picture. But I just love to see the transformation of humans and their stories and what's happening with them by virtue of looking back. It's one reason all of our albums should be important to us. But I don't know about you, but I have fallen off the wagon with storytelling lately just because of some other things going on in my personal life, in my professional life. And I miss it. So there's something about taking time in December to pause and really focus again on the stories. And last year I was pretty specific to make sure didn't have to, this is the 15th. This doesn't mean this happened on December 15. It might have. I don't even know. I have listed here, and all my journaling says this. It says story number 15. It's just the 15th story. I didn't worry about trying to make a story every day because some days there's not something really, really exciting I want to share. This story is not terribly exciting. It's heartfelt, though, to me. And it definitely marks a reflection of life and the power of doing things and how that then comes forth in another time here 12 months later. So this struck me when I went through, and I hadn't looked at this album all year, and I saw that. I'm like, oh my goodness, girlfriend is now actually elbow deep in French cuisine. And it's a beautiful, if you knew her full story, you would know, I'm going to cry. You would know what a beautiful story that is. And so don't take anything for granted in your picture taking. You just don't know how it's going to reveal itself. Okay, we're going to move on here. This was another art journal page that I deeply love doing. This has a lot of detail here. And so I'm probably going to find a lot more of that in my 24 book, just giving you a warning right now. This was a fun day of making our gingerbread things. I'm pretty sure that I tutorial this page here, and it has more journaling inside there. You can see too, I had a lot more large format photos in this album, more journaling underneath. That really fun. This was a Heidi Swapp die that was out last year. That was just the bee's knees to make with. Here's a fun pocket cluster and journaling to go along with that. Photo of all of us at dinner. More of those 12 pocket papers. I'm sorry, 12 pocket page. What do I say? 12 pocket page. Woo, that was tough. That I have here of just some random things going on. And this was literally, I noted here, this is Saturday, December 23rd. So I know specifically when these pictures actually took place. This is our Christmas Eve. Baby girl's dressed, ready to go to services that night. I did also tutorial this page here, and I believe this one as well. This is also a tradition that's always found in my December albums. And that is, and that is our family photo. Please forgive me. Which will be incomplete this year. That's December when we take this one. Number one, we trade off where the kids who are married, where they spend their Christmas. I'm sure you do the same thing. It's not an unusual thing. But my mom won't be in this picture this coming year, and that's just going to be really different. But, just because stories are painful doesn't make them less important or needful. They're probably more needful. Again, I have more than just my mom not being in a picture of loved ones who were here one season and they weren't here the next season because death took them. And I'm so glad I have the pictures that I do. Okay, thank you for letting me walk through this. I didn't realize it was going to be so much of an emotional journey. Why I underestimated that, I don't know, because there's nothing wrong with our stories being emotional journeys. Okay, friends, as I already shared with you, I am going to just give you a little sneak into 24's book. And do you want to see a tutorial? I started on this page. I saw an idea for trees and branches, not trees, but for branches, foliage, making a tree shape. So fun. And I have this ombre paper. And one of the prettiest papers in here is this. Let me find it. I might have passed it already. Is this green paper here. So it goes light to dark. And so that's what I did here. And I did record this, most of it, not all of it, but I recorded the idea that supports how to make this branch tree come to life. Okay, so I have grabbed this ombre paper, and you can see I sketched Christmas on a piece of 6x8 mixed media paper. I'm going to use 2 of the sprigs from the cozy foliage. And what I'm showing you there is how I'm going to go from the light to the dark. And when I did it first, and I'll share this with you, I'll also show you what I decided to do. So hopefully you're watching this first, and then if you're trying this, but I want to make sure all my branches are in the same direction. But I cut like a 2.5, maybe 2-inch piece of paper, and then I ran that through the Scout. You're going to see how it was a better decision later to use a 6x8 piece of paper, do not trim it, and to use it on a regular die cutting machine like the Spellbinders P6, which is my die cutting machine of choice. So we'll see that in a moment. And the other thing that's going to go with that is, you can see I'm kind of going piece by piece here, correct? I am cutting a few, I'm layering them on the page. I always encourage to go about these types of projects having the thing all done first. But this kind of gives you a preliminary idea of the direction of this. Again, super helpful to have that tree sketched out a bit and be able to follow the direction of the tree that I really like to do. So, which tells you can do this in any way. Now, here's the thing. I did the one piece of paper. I didn't have enough branches. So you for sure going to want to do two pieces of paper. Now, if you do the 6x8, the way I'm going to show you here in a moment, and if you do it in such a way that you sort of jigsaw your pieces onto the paper as you are die cutting it, just like that. See, I took advantage of all the space instead of only strips of paper. It really made a difference. It really provided more branches to work with. So if you do this with your two pieces of paper to begin with, die cut them all at once, and then go about creating the paper tree, I think you'll have really good success. So you can see that I am completely resetting this now, as I am taking the first I think it worked better to start at the top, because then you could tuck in the pieces underneath. But that first top piece, I did trim off its stem a bit. I'm going lightest to darkest. I mentioned that earlier. I've cut them all out on the 6x8 piece of paper. Much better way to go about that. And I'm adding the glue just to the very top of the branch. I, for one, did not want these to be flat. I knew I wanted them to be basically as fluffed. You know how you fluff that artificial tree? That's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm fluffing the tree. And that way it just created this really great textural vibe. So I have these intricate foliage dies. I love to use the precision plate from Sizzix to cut those, especially when the dies just become a little too intricate. And so it works like a dream. A lot of people don't know about the precision plate, and when I share that with them and they utilize it, they are sold. They're really glad to have that as part of their die cutting tools. I don't use it all the time. It's usually primarily just for those things that need a much finer, intricate cut, as I've already alluded to. So you can see here, this is glue and place and repeat. That is all we're doing here. And you can have this tree as full as you want it to be. I don't really suggest that you'd want it to be any less dense. I, for one, probably wished I had done both papers in that kind of jigsaw die cutting formation. I would have had a few more little branches. I did kind of cut a couple more branches later on after this video was done, and I tucked them in. I didn't need many at all. But if you're going to go about this and you do it the second way I showed you how to do it, you're going to have plenty of branches for a 6x8 tree, which is basically what this is, right? So it's pretty self-explanatory how this is going along, especially if you keep your ombre coloring in order. You're going to basically have a no-fail tree. So I think we would have a lot of fun with this. I think this is a great way to open up and I'll show you here towards the end how this opens up in my December book. But just continue on with this until you are happy with it. Take your time, enjoy the slow crafting aspect of this making. I'm just kind of fluffing here and pulling out some of the strings of paper that are extra. Remember, this is an art, not a science. We are paper craft artists. We are not scientists. Do not look for perfection. Just enjoy the process. Enjoy making your tree. I think this is so fun, even on a smaller tag. That'd be great too. All right, I got something else to show you here at the end. Hey friends, as we wrap this up, I just wanted to show you what I do have now so far. Here's this acetate piece by Prima, the Snowflake. I put on it the bold numbers from ScrapbookCom, and also I'm vibing with these poinsettias that are white here from $49 in market. So that is in place. This is going to be what my book opens up to. Then when you turn this over and you are onto this page here, it's going to be really tough to see, but I have, where do I have it here? I have grabbed this is an old rock candy here, and I just basically painted some of the craft glue onto my brushes, and then I shook this on and just tapped it off. I think I could use more. I might even want to grab some sequins, or maybe even possibly mica flakes. Mica flakes might show up a little bit better on there even. It's super subtle, but this became sort of an art page. I added in some rub-ons from 'Tis the Season. I splattered on this frosted juniper that I think is a great colorway to go with this whole green thing going on. Throw it on the ground. I added the Joy to the World rub-on from the 'Tis the Season. And I don't even hate, it's hard again to tell, but I have some of the rock candy from here on the paper surrounding it. It's very festive. Feels like I just need some festiveness. It's very tree centric. I love that too, especially our next story will be about our tree hunt. I wanted to share the little details here that are going on that you can add to your ombre paper tree as well. Sky's the limit. Sequins, rock candy, mica flakes, you name it. Just add it to your tree. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Love to hear from you in the comments. Everything is linked below, including previous videos. Thank you so much for watching.